Gainesville, Florida. You're watching the Big 12 SEC Challenge presented by Sonic. The first of 10 games today between the conferences, tipping off at the O-Dome, the O'Connell Center here in Florida. It's the 8th meeting all time, and Bob Huggins' first meeting against the Florida team. He has a squad that plays at a calculated, convulsive, crazy pace, and you could expect a little contentiousness when his team takes the floor, Kara Lawson.
Well, what a way to start off the Big 12 SEC Challenge. This is pre-tip. This is pre-game right here. Taking exception and nobody backing down. I can't wait for this Big 12 SEC Challenge to start. We've got some guys that are fired up and perhaps the toughest team in college basketball in the West Virginia Mountaineers.
Both these teams fighting over their respective turf on the court. Mike White's team has won 3 of the last 4, and it's his first season on the bench. They're no stranger to the pressure West Virginia will provide.
They're not a stranger, but this is a unique animal. When you talk about going against West Virginia, you look at the graphic here, major conference teams, almost 40% in terms of their press percentage. You better be able to handle the basketball, handle the physicality, and have guards that can make smart, quick, aggressive decisions against the pressure.
I'm Mark Jones, courtside along with Kara Lawson, ready to go here. This is the 8th meeting all time between these two teams. Here's a look at the starting lineups. There's some changes there. Jonathan Holton not available today, suspended indefinitely by the Mountaineers. What does this game mean, Kara, in terms of importance for the teams and in the bigger picture, the conferences today?
I think this is a really great opportunity for Mike White and his Florida Gator team. Their best wins are against St. Joseph's and then a home game against LSU. They need a signature win on their resume. This could be it, and I think when you look at the SEC as a whole, this could be a momentum-shifting weekend for them if they're able to come out with some key victories in this Big 12 SEC Challenge.
And we are underway. Chris Chiozza running the point for the Gators. Guarded by Carter. Out to Finney Smith, who knocks down the first 3.
Great start, and that's what you have to do. You have to attack West Virginia's pressure. You can't be meek. You have to go after it. Nice job by Chiozza there on the first possession.
Nathan Adrian gets it over midcourt. You would expect a very frenetic pace in this game, and a nice cut and feed to the bucket by Javon Carter. And here's that vaunted Mountaineer press. They lead the country in forcing turnovers and steals. Finney Smith, good ball movement. Allen shut off on the baseline. Not to mention West Virginia, pretty good defensive team in the half court. 5 on the shot clock for Casey Hill. And Casey Hill getting the start here today. What do you make of the fact that he got the start at the guard position today?
Well, Leon not available because of hitting the head against Vanderbilt. So Mike White talked about going small with 3 guards to try to attack that vaunted pressure. Just give him more ball handlers on the floor, and you'll see when they attack the pressure off of Makes, they're going to have one of their point guards take it out. What's the first pass mark out of pressure? A lot of times it's back to the inbounder. They want a ball handling guard as that inbounder to help them attack it.
Yeah, ball handling at a premium today. Meanwhile, Justin Leon going through concussion protocol, unable to play today. And the Gators force the turnover. Williams with the rebound off the miss. Williams straightaway jump shot, and boy, he has really struggled, Kara, since that big game he had in that win against #1 Kansas at the time. Trying to get it going. Chiozza dishes it off to Casey Hill. Now to Egbunu on the block. No foul called on Williams, and Egbunu on the board. Almost a turnover. Carter with the pull-up. And back come the Gators. Allen got it.
Just a fantastic start by Florida. They're giving Press Virginia a little bit of their own medicine here. Turning them over and getting out in transition and finishing.
Kara, what do you make of the theory that says teams that press don't like to be pressed? There's an old adage. Is there any truth to it, and how much in this case?
Well, I don't know that I've ever met a team that liked to be pressed. mean, it's just difficult to go against. And so Florida certainly has the bodies and has the athletes to be able to do that. We talked with Bob Huggins before the game, and we said, what concerns you about Florida? He said their athleticism. They have tremendous athleticism on this team.
Mike White's team coming in 13-7 overall. Bob Huggins, meanwhile, his team 17-3, losses against Virginia, Oklahoma, number 1, and Texas. Isa Ahmad with the ball, and he draws the foul on the play.
I'll tell you, here's one thing you notice early, and you talked off the top about West Virginia missing Jonathan Holton, and this is a big hole. This is a huge hole for them to fill. He might be their most disruptive force on their full court pressure, and then on the glass, offensive rebounding, Jonathan Holton does the best job of giving them extra opportunities. So already seeing that they're really missing Holton here early.
Kayvon Allen with a stare down three, and it's good. The lead up to 9 now, an 8-0 run, and Huggins calls timeout. This scene, moments before tip, seemingly setting the tone for the Gators. At some point, you plant your feet, stand your ground, and make a statement about who you are, as Vinnie Smith and other Gators get in the collective faces of the Mountaineers in a little standoff at midcourt. And the first blows of this game landed by the SEC's Florida Gators.
Well, what do you hear the entire time leading up to playing West Virginia? You hear how tough they are. You hear how physical they are. You probably hear how tough and physical you're not. And so it's been a steady diet of that, probably by their coaches, of saying, hey, this is how you're going to have to play if you're going to meet them. And great response here by Florida in the first 3.5 minutes.
Straightaway three, way off the mark. Puts back good. And Florida forced to call a timeout. Check that. That's going to be a 5-second violation. They didn't get it in time. Rick Phillip in the ball game. The foul is going to go against Casey Hill. Phillip inbounding. Miles with the jumper way strong. Williams battling underneath, and finally Devin Williams sees it go through the bucket. Trying to trap Chiozza. Knocked out of bounds off of the Mountaineers.
Isn't that something? I mean, the pressure and their recovery, their speed of recovery is what is really impressive when you watch them on tape, when you watch them in person. And we saw Bob Huggins after that timeout go to the bench. And Jason Page and Tariq Phillip have been fantastic for him. West Virginia has one of the best scoring benches in the country, so there's no let up for the pressure that you're going to see in the scoring prowess when they go to the bench.
Boy, getting the ball inbounds is a chore sometimes. That's going to be a push and a foul underneath against the Mountaineers. Timeout on the court. When we come back, an ode to David Bowie as Kara explains what it's like to be under pressure.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Sonic. 2 can eat for $9.99 at Sonic all month long. And the all-new Lexus RX and RX Hybrid.
That's a little interesting. Welcome back, everyone, to Gainesville, the O'Connell Center. And yesterday, my partner Kara Lawson had a chance to take a closer look at what it's like to face the press.
In attacking Press Virginia, the first task you have is getting open. And it's very important that Florida's guards have tremendous spatial awareness. Not catching the ball too deep. When you catch the ball too deep, what you do is you invite extra defenders. A double team coming from the inbounder, but also the sideline and end line as defenders. So catching here, you could create a 4-defender situation. Florida's guards getting open, catching it up here, turning and facing. That gives them their greatest chance to attack this press.
And what have you seen so far and where the catches have been made by Florida?
The first task is getting open. What we showed there is they weren't even able to do that. And so that's the first thing about attacking pressure is trying to get open, and then you can't invite that double team. And you know, I talked about West Virginia not having Holton. He is so good at the point of the pressure of getting over there, getting a double team, and having a quick turnover.
Well, it's not quite the same press. Off the Devin Robinson miss. Ibunu underneath. Got it blocked. Out of bounds. It'll stay Gator basketball.
Just swarmed. I mean, that's what's so impressive with West Virginia is how they swarm the basketball. Ibunu had 3 or 4 guys around him, just couldn't get the ball out.
Finney Smith, nice dunking inside by Ibunu for the slam. Offensive foul against Jayshawn Page. An incredulous look given by Page. One more look at that hoop.
Just posting strong in there, and you know, Ibunu's got tremendous strength, and he needs to work to catch. If he works to catch, there's very few players that can be able to knock him off of his spot.
That's the second foul against their leading scorer, Page, who retreats to the bench. Chio's on the drive. That one halfway down and out. Gators leading by 7. About 5 minutes gone here in the first half. Carroll's going to be back a little bit later as to what you do with the ball once you actually make the catch. Wild shot, no good by Phillip. And here come the Gators in transition. Finney Smith with another great look inside. Ibunu draws the foul on Adrian, and he'll go to the line for a pair. Now, once again, you alluded to it a moment ago. Jonathan Holton not here today for West Virginia. Key piece for Bob Huggins' team. Suspended for violation of unspecified team rules. And Holton hopefully will rejoin the team in the next 3 or 4 games.
Well, here's the thing that certainly the loss of hope, but when West Virginia when they don't make shots or they don't get to the free throw line, they don't have a chance to set up that pressure as well. And so Florida's done a good job on the defensive end of the floor. They're attacking off of misses or off of turnovers, loose balls, and it's a much more open defense to do it against.
Ibunu, nice move inside on the drop step. He'll make another trip to the free throw line.
Yeah, they don't have anything for Ibunu early. I mean, they don't. And he needs to post. And if I were the Florida guards, I would look to him every single time. One of the things that West Virginia is not good at, we talked about what they are, is they put other people to the free throw line. They've given up, entering this game, 562 free throw attempts. That's second worst in the NCAA, not power conferences, second worst in the NCAA.
Ibunu at the line. Now, yeah, they will put you in the chop shop and put it on you a little bit. Just to speak a little bit further on Jonathan Holton, I can tell you personally, having known him from the South Florida area in the AAU circuit, he's a good-hearted kid who ultimately seems like just made a poor decision. But he's going to get his degree this spring and graduate. He'll undoubtedly at some point be back on the right track. Williams' feed inside for Adrian is off the mark, and another West Virginia turnover. Titanic Hoops trifecta for you tonight, folks. Look at that. 5 Eastern on ESPN. Number 1 Oklahoma, Buddy Hield taking on Ben Simmons, LSU. Then at 7, number 20 Kentucky against number 4 Kansas. And then at 8:30 on ABC, a marquee matchup in the NBA. Kawhi Leonard and the Spurs taking on LeBron James and the Cavaliers. All 3 games streaming live on Watch ESPN and the app as well. Meanwhile, a foul a moment ago on Phillip.
Phillip and Casey Hill talking a little bit to each other. Referee had to warn Phillip, but he's getting after it. You know, this is the edge that West Virginia plays with. And it's a perpetual edge, and it stems from their leader, and that's Bob Huggins. And that's the way they play. They get after you, they're going to try and force the issue.
A Euro step by Casey Hill, but it's a Euro step travel. Guys have been bumping their gums at each other the entire game. And you know, off the steal, timeout called. You don't want to jump to the conclusion, Kara, where you think it's a mean-spirited idea. Sometimes it's just good old-fashioned fun and jaw-jacking there, you know?
It pumps you up. And
Yeah.
a lot of times guys do that to pump themselves up.
Yep.
You know, you look at West Virginia, and we talked about the edge that they play with. I mean, you know how hard it is to play the style they play? I mean, in and out, getting into guys one-on-one. You got to take care of yours.
Yeah.
You got to go at Casey Hill. You got to try and get him off his game and see if you can force some turnovers.
Oh, I love it. I love that stuff. I can't get enough of that stuff. You can just see Phillip seemingly saying, hey, I'm coming for you today. I'm going to put it on you today. And we can't get enough of this menu of great basketball today. Iowa State, A&M, Tennessee, TCU, Oklahoma, LSU, Heald, Simmons, Baylor taking on Georgia, Kentucky goes into the fog, and Oklahoma State, Auburn.
The Big 12 has been the best conference in the country to this point, in my opinion. And so, win or lose in some of these games, I don't know that their reputation takes a huge hit.
Right.
But what an opportunity for the SEC. When you look at some of these matchups, Florida against West Virginia, Georgia against Baylor, LSU, if they could pull off the upset against number one, they could get some signature wins on their resumes by beating some of these Big 12 teams.
Cross-court pass, Carter goes high, took the contact, and made a fantastic basket. Javon Carter, 6'2" sophomore out of Proviso East in Maywood, Illinois. He's got 4 in the ball game now. Of course, that school, Proviso East, produced some pretty good basketball players. Doc Rivers, Michael Finley, amongst others. Corey McGetty. Floater is good, and that's going to count, as Phillip was in the restricted area. As we take one more look at it.
Phillip was certainly there early enough.
Didn't look like there was much contact.
Yeah, I thought it would be more of a no call, but we couldn't see his heel there. And the referee did point down. And when they point down, that means that they were in the restricted area.
That's his second foul on Phillip. So Jayshawn Page and Tariq Phillip both with 2 fouls. But this is not something uncommon for Bob Huggins, Kara, where he goes to his bench. He'll go 10 or 11 deep on a regular basis.
Yeah, he will. But, you know, picking up 2 fouls really hurts West Virginia offensively, because Phillip and Page give them a ton of production offensively off the bench, and West Virginia will go through stretches where they struggle to score the basketball. Those 2 always figure prominently in the offense.
Kind of thought when the day began that the first team to 50 would win it. It's kind of shaping up that way right now. Low scoring, 17-8. 5 on the shot clock for Carter, and that's going to be a push against the Gators. Foul is going to go against Finney Smith. His first and 4th team foul. Adrian comes out of the ball game for the Mountaineers. Finney Smith going to get a breather for the Gators. Finney Smith, their leading scorer and rebounder.
Like as Miles was trying to get open there, he elbowed Casey Hill in the face. He was trying to get open on that end out of bounds play. I don't think it was intentional at all. But Casey Hill's going to have to go back and get some attention in the locker room.
Fouls on Miles, and we showed you the video at the start of the game. The teams were physical right before this ball even tipped off to start the game. They're pushing and battling over territory on the Gator logo at midcourt. And we knew coming in that this was going to be a very physical contest. Here's one more look at it.
So it's just kind of trying to do a swim move, you know, just trying to get open. Again, unintentional, and just kind of tagged Casey Hill there with his elbow.
Dexter Miles, 6'3" sophomore out of Baltimore. 5 points and 3 assists in their win against Kansas State in their last game. You surprised by the slow offensive start by the Mountaineers so far?
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, they've had moments and they've had stretches where they've struggled to score offensively, and we knew it would be a challenge without Holton. I mean, Holton's a guy that has 6 double-doubles on the season. He's averaging over 4 offensive rebounds a game. And when they miss shots, he can give them second opportunities. Not having that has clearly affected them early on.
Chiozza, one-man press break here. Did a nice job against the press. That's going to be a walk against Egbunu. So all that good work, getting the ball up court, goes for naught. West Virginia with 4 team fouls, Florida with 3. Miles in the corner to Williams. 7 on the shot clock. Williams goes with it. That was partially blocked by Egbunu. I'm not sure, that might have been close to a goaltend. Chiozza on the drive. Wild shot. That's how you follow it.
Wow.
Williams goes with it quick. Triple teamed. A baseline jumper way off by Watkins. Foul against Egbunu.
Oh my goodness, Egbunu bringing all of it here in Gainesville. Mike White questioned their toughness before this game. They're bringing all of it. And look at the student section. They're loving this.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Sonic. 2 can eat for $9.99 at Sonic all month long. And the all-new Lexus RX and RX Hybrid. Never has luxury been this expressive.
Aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. A benevolent sky spattering down on the practice fields here in Gainesville at the University of Florida, and inside the O'Connell Center, Mark Jones chopping it up alongside with Kara Lawson. Big day for both these two conferences. In particular, what do you make of the fact that Joe Lunardi actually has 5 teams in the tournament right now for the SEC?
Well, the SEC did not have the sterling non-conference that the Big 12 did. The Big 12 was the best conference in the non-conference. You look at the 5 teams, but you look at the next 4 out as well. Texas Tech, each conference with 1 team in the next 4 out. I think it's a critical weekend for a team like Florida, for a team like LSU, and for a team like Vanderbilt. They have opportunities to get some signature wins for themselves on their resume. So I think the SEC has more to gain in today's Big 12 SEC challenge than the Big 12 does.
Interesting. And the Gators, kind of like that proverbial box of chocolates. Never know what you're going to get sometimes. 95 points last week against Auburn in a win last Saturday, their highest of the season, and then just 59 points in that loss against Vandy in their previous outing. That foul is going to go against Kavarius Hayes. 16 foul. So the Mountaineers will be shooting on the next one.
We have quite a few guys with that line. 0 points and 2 fouls here early.
Williams double teamed, got the first one blocked. Good ball movement to Carter. That one halfway down and out. Hey, when I was talking about Proviso East players, I neglected to mention Jacob Pullen, one of the all-time greats at K-State. That tip in good by Devin Robinson. Williams on the show and go, draws the foul on the play. Fouls against Skylar Rimmer. Williams going to go to the free throw line, and tell you what, we got a battle of the biceps today. You kind of alluded to it between this guy, Jonathan Williams, who's all yoked up, slapped together pretty well, and Egbunu. I'm guessing neither one of those have over 7% body fat.
Oh, no, I don't think there's any chance. Devin Williams, Big 12 leading 8 double-doubles, and has kind of been pressing a little bit recently, and knows that they need him to score. And certainly this afternoon, they really need him to score. Egbunu gave Florida some tremendous minutes and played with such a physical presence. And you know, a lot of times you can have the physical body, but you have to be focused and disciplined on providing a physical presence. It's two different things. And Egbunu's provided a physical presence here early.
Hey, I'd be happy with just the body, okay?
A lot of people would. A lot of people would.
I want to get that without eating all that kale that you eat, you know? All that healthy kale stuff.
A lot of people would be happy with just the body.
And Williams trying to get it going again offensively. Struggled since that 17-12 that he put up in that upset against Kansas. Chiozza. And now West Virginia in a zone in the half-court, Kara. Chiozza firing from deep. Yes! And the lead up to the biggest of the game for the Gators at 14. Great hustle, but that's going to be a foul on Chiozza. Got on the deck, ended up upending Javon Carter. That's the 18th foul against the Gators. Let's take one more look.
Well, let's take a look here. Really?
I guess you just can't dive with impunity and not expect to be called for a foul if you make contact.
I don't agree with that one.
Yeah. Carter at the free throw line. Knocks down the first. 75% free throw shooter on the season, the best on that West Virginia squad. Carter's a guy that Huggins says at some point has to start making some shots as he knocks down 2 free throws. He's one of their top 3-point shooters at just over 35%. Well, we played almost half of the first half here, and that full court pressure hasn't been an issue. That's going to be a travel against Page. That full court press hasn't been a problem so far for West Virginia, right?
They've navigated it pretty well. Florida has. And, you know, we talked about it. West Virginia only has 12 points. So Florida hasn't spent a bulk of this first half taking it out of the net. And if you don't take it out of the net, you're at an advantage already because you're able to get it on the run, and West Virginia doesn't have as much time to set up. So I think that's been a bigger part of them breaking the pressure of anything else, is that they forced misses by the Mountaineers.
Mountaineers with 5 turnovers. Gators with 4. Chiozza out top. Finney Smith from way deep. Wow. Biggest lead of the game at 15 now. Florida's 5 of 7 from 3-point territory. And this is a team that is 12th in the SEC in 3-point shooting at about 31.5%. Page on the drive and kick to Carter. And finally, as I said a moment ago, Huggins says he's got to start making some shots. Carter with 9. Robinson with a ball fake back out top. They go side to side pretty well, and Dodo coming over the top. Carter tries another one and misses everything. Allen almost got ripped by Carter. Went right to Chiozza, though. They're going to try another one. Allen. That one rims out. Gioza with the room service steal and layup. Mountaineers looking like gator bait right now. Timeout. Gator country, the mic is yours.
Chris Cotter and LaFonso Ellis, Texas and Vandy in Austin over on E2 and Fonz. Tevin Mack is going to get the ball off the steal here and get the break roll.
You can't turn the basketball over against Texas. They're too explosive in transition.
All Texas right now, early. Send it back to Mark and Kara.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Speaking of Texas, Kara, as you look at the score, Bob Huggins' team apparently hit the snooze bar, and Florida handling the pressure really well with their passing.
Just passing around that zone and catching it on the backside. You get a quick reversal, and you can get out there, and Dorian Finney-Smith is able to attack the closeout there and get it done. I am stunned. Yeah. Mark, I'm stunned. Because if you would have told me about these two teams, and I wouldn't have seen the colors of the uniforms, I would have told you that Florida had to be West Virginia. With the way they're playing, with the energy, with the toughness, with the physicality, they are basically doing a better version of West Virginia against West Virginia, who's been the best defensive team in the country all season long. And
some surprisingly proficient three-point shooting by Florida in this game. And speaking of three-point shooting, Phillip knocks one down. I started to say that Bob Huggins feels that of the 3 losses they've had out of bounds with a State Florida ball, Huggins feels of the 3 losses that West Virginia has suffered this year, the game against Texas, we saw their highlight a moment ago against Vandy, that game against Texas was the one where he feels is the only one they really didn't come ready to play. And I wonder what his early thoughts are on this one so far.
Well, Texas is the only team that's been able to navigate and come out the other side and press Virginia with single-digit turnovers. They're the only team all season long that's been able to do that. And certainly West Virginia was offensively struggled in that game. But there's a lot of time left. There's a lot of time left for them to get back in this, no question.
Casey Hill off the screen. Floater is way strong. Missed the putback. Under 8 minutes to go in the first half. Dexter Miles up front. Nice drive and bucket by Dayshawn Page. Team's leading scorer coming into this one. That's his first bucket of the afternoon. One thing about the Mountaineers, they're not going to relent in their full court press. Hill out top, calls out the set. Finney Smith. Tyler Rimmer, the Stanford transfer, posting up. Finney Smith got blocked. Miles in transition. Missed the layup, but they're going to count it because the defender hit the backboard. And basket interference. And they finally got it below double figures here, Kara.
They're starting to get some traction, and they've been able to get stops. I mean, Florida scored 31 points in the first 13 minutes of this half. I mean, West Virginia hasn't been able to get any stops. And what do we see from them now? We see some aggressiveness in transition when they're able to get the basketball off the rim.
Casey Hill working against the press, gets it over midcourt. 7 minutes to go in the first half, and that's going to be a foul against Dexter Miles. Well, tonight after X Games Aspen, stick around for SportsCenter at night with Bucci and Steve Levy. We'll have highlights from the NBA, college hoops, wrap up the day from Aspen, and preview the Australian Open men's final between Djokovic and Andy Murray at SportsCenter at night tonight after X Games Aspen on ESPN, streaming live on Watch ESPN and the app. And anything can happen on this day when Serena Williams actually loses in a Grand Slam final.
I was shocked. Yeah. I woke up this morning and saw that. What a victory for Kerber and a first Grand Slam win.
Could be setting the tone for the day here across the sports landscape. This one of 10 games in the Big 12 SEC Challenge. This long jumper is good by Page. And the lead is in a blink down to 6.
That's his
whistling
third.
a foul. Foul's going to go against Carter.
It's against Page. It's his third. And Carter was trying to be a good teammate here and take the foul. But we talked about the physicality of this game and this matchup. And they started getting after each other before the game even started. This is pregame. And Florida set the early tone. They were the aggressors. And you start to see West Virginia now in the last couple minutes. And Phillips like, we're coming for you, buddy. We're not going to go away.
Casey Hill there saying, yeah, okay, well, I got a little something for you, too. Under 6.5 minutes to go for Page, though. A critical foul. That's his third. And Florida just 2 of 7 from the line now. So they're leaving some points at the line, and a chance now, incredibly, to cut this to just 4. Phillip on the wing. Nice move inside. Tough pass is caught. Not converted by Macon, though. Finally get it to go. A 12-0 run. We said that the Mountaineers would be unrelenting and unremitting. And that's exactly what they are. Well, aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. Folks, if you call yourself a sports fan, you've got to get DirecTV. Shot of the O'Connell Center, the swamp, the football field right next door. And you see a little bit of construction going on there in front of the Stephen C. O'Connell Center. Whenever you see cranes, it's usually a good sign, means expansion is in the works. And that's exactly what's happening here at the O'Connell Center. They're beginning some renovations to the tune of about $65 million. Seating bowl update with chair backs to seats, addition of premium seating areas, state-of-the-art center-hung scoreboard, upgrades to team spaces, and an enhanced concourse to improve the overall fan experience. But it's all about the denizens of the O'Connell Center here, turning up the noise. The lead down to 4. Gators haven't scored in over 3 minutes. Chioza working against Carter. That's going to be an offensive foul. Yeah, he pushed off. And Chioza and Carter now locking arms. And Chioza, former Mr. Basketball in the state of Tennessee. That's his first personal foul. I can tell you one guy that's a fan of Chioza. That's Corey Brewer, former Gator, also from Tennessee. Saw him and spoke with him during the Rockets game. Said he was going to be cheering loudly for Chioza and the Gators today. Of course, several Gators in the NBA watching. Chandler Parsons, the Mavericks, another one. They've had a great lineage of players come through here. Long three, I mean long three by Phillip is off the mark. Carter with a tough pass inside, never found its target. Allen tiptoeing down the sidelines and draws the charge. Pardon me, that's a foul, a block. We're talking about Chandler Parsons, who holds a couple of school records now with the Mavericks. Corey Brewer with the Houston Rockets, a super sub for that team. Parsons, by the way, had 19 in their win last night. Brad Beal of the Wizards, a pretty good list of players. Al Horford, guy that contributed to one of those back-to-back banners.
Yeah, you saw that West Virginia doesn't have any players currently in the NBA. Certainly, a lot of those Florida Gators have gone on and won championships with different organizations. Matt Bonner with the Spurs. Of course, Maurice Space with the Warriors last year. Haslam with the Heat. Mike Miller with the Heat. So a lot of success for Florida in the NBA.
Think about how it all got started here. Billy Donovan came here decades ago, took over a job at a quote-unquote football school that many critics thought would never be successful in basketball. And boy, they couldn't have been more wrong when you look up to the rafters and see those banners. Off the steal Another possession for the Gators. And that gets Myers up off the bench for Huggins. Under 5 minutes to go here in the first half. Francis Ramirez inside to Skylar Rimmer. That's going to be a problem.
The physicality of West Virginia completely caused that. They are so physical. Everything is tough, every movement. And Skylar Rimmer, I mean, look at this pass. How difficult that pass would. Ahmad almost got it. And now there's 3 guys around him. And the hesitation by Rimmer, and he shuffles his feet, and they get the turnover.
8 turnovers for the Mountaineers, 6 for the Gators. Ahmad, the top of the key to Macon, goes with it quick, a little out of control. Robinson on the move, lobs it high, and Dodo got hung on the rim. But it looked like we got a foul called on the play as Finney Smith, a.k.a. Dodo, to his teammates, got fouled on this attempt.
See.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, gets him underneath, yep.
Yeah, Adrian had his arm out, Kara.
Yeah, pushes him in the trunk, which is dangerous. And guys elevating and going in for that dunk, so that's a good call.
Talk about Finney Smith. He had a string of double-doubles earlier this season. Set a record in Florida history only surpassed by the aforementioned Chandler Parsons. Finney Smith averaging almost 15 points a game for the Gators. Huggins and his longtime assistant Larry Harrison trying to press the right buttons on the sidelines. A couple more subs coming in. Adrian coming out along with Macon. They'll both take a seat.
Well, Bob Huggins kind of rolled the dice a little bit with Page and Phillip, playing them with 2 fouls in the first half. You might say he had to, being down as much as they were. They picked up 3 fouls now, so that hamstrings you a little bit now in the second half with how you play, right? The style that West Virginia plays, that's the issue moving forward with their guards.
Long jumper straight away is short by Carter. Rimmer with the rebound. Surprised the Mountaineers haven't tried to get more touches for Williams, get him going a little bit. There's Finney Smith. Allen tipped up by Rimmer, kept alive by Robinson. And the Gators just a step quicker. The Rowdy Reptiles turning it up a notch as Florida leads by 8 when we come back.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Constant Contact. Be a marketer. All it takes is Constant Contact email marketing.
Chris Cotter back in Bristol. Chief halftime report coming up. We'll peek in on the Longhorns. Early lead over Vanderbilt over on ESPN2. And how about this one later on tonight on ESPN? Buddy Hield, Ben Simmons, Oklahoma, and LSU. Preview of that one with LaFonso Ellis coming up. Chief halftime report. Till then, back to Mark and Terry, guys.
All right, a couple of green room guys as folks, you're watching the Big 12 SEC Challenge presented by Sonic here on a irradiant day in Central Florida, Gainesville, at the O'Connell Center. The 8th meeting all time between these two squads. Florida leads the overall series 4-3. The first time that Bob Huggins has ever faced a Gators team. In his over 3 decades as a head coach. Robinson knocks down the first free throw. He's a 71% foul shooter. Just when it seemed like the Mountaineers were going to close in. Got to within 4. Lead back up to 9. Under 4 minutes to go. Miles out top. Guarded by Allen. Myers off the screen. Williams, a little pick and pop game. Still struggling at the offensive end. A whistle and a foul as Issa Ahmad tried to go up with it and got hit. Williams, though, just 2 of 7 from the field for the Mountaineers. That foul against Skylar Rimmer, his second. Pardon me, that's against Finney Smith. missed the last game against Kansas State with a sore knee. Two-time former high school player of the year in the state of Ohio. Shaker Heights. And got a little cross-pollination between the teams today. Darius Nichols, former Mountaineer player, now an assistant coach for the Florida Gators.
Had a tremendous career at West Virginia. 141 games and played under John Beilein, who was at West Virginia prior to going to Michigan, and then played under Bob Huggins as well.
And there's a turnover. Remember, the Mountaineers lead the country in forcing turnovers and steals. 7th one of the game there. Miles tries to go inside. That's going to be a kick ball against Casey Hill. There's a look at him. There's Nichols.
He's been standing up a lot. It's his scout. Obviously, it's his scout, and he's been calling out the plays. And
was he one of the assistant coaches you played against pickup yesterday and tore him up?
He didn't play.
Oh,
I don't know. I'm not going to put it out there. He was scared or anything. But he just didn't play. I don't know. I don't know what happened today. She wasn't there. He watched. He didn't play though.
Hey, there's Williams finally with a man-sized move inside. 8 points for him. Who won? Did your team win?
Well, my team won. I played with the Florida coaches. We played against their managers. We played against the Florida managers, and we won. Yeah.
Oh, that's a tilted equation right there.
Is it?
Managers?
Managers can play. You know they have like rankings. They have RPI rankings for the managers across the country.
Oh, excuse me.
You're gonna get all these managers upset at you, man. Some of them got game.
Francis Ramirez with the long three. They're now 6 of 10 from downtown. Williams with the jump hook. That's going to be a foul against the Mountaineers. Francis Ramirez, the 6'5" freshman, with the beard and the hair. What do you think? I think it's close enough. That's a look-alike right there.
It's close enough.
Because Francis Ramirez will tell you, he started at the bottom, now he's here.
We're getting ready to see a lot of Drake, aren't we, with the NBA All-Star Game being in Toronto?
Yes, ma'am. I would say that works. You know, if he put a mic in his hand and started singing back-to-back, I'd go for it. Rimmer knocks down the first free throw.
I'm not for anybody trying to sing that can't. And I'm not saying Francis Ramirez can't, but my guess would be he's probably not as good vocally as Drake is.
As the Stanford transfer will make it an 11-point game. Top of the day, we talked about how the Gators might come out. Would they come out with the requisite urgency and immediacy and finality that this game deserves for them against the number 9 West Virginia? And Mike White's team has answered the call here in the first 20 minutes so far. Leading by 11 on the heels of a very disheartening loss against Vanderbilt, in which they only scored 59 points. Shot clock for the Mountaineers. Williams with the lefty jump hook. That's going to be a foul against the Mountaineers. Much to the disdain of head coach Bob Huggins. You know, Kara, I want to ask you this. There's some people that feel that when you play as physical as West Virginia, there's a tendency to foul a disproportionate amount of times. Some people feel the official can't call them all, so that West Virginia opponents are probably thinking they're not getting some foul calls that they should be. You buy it or not?
Yeah, I buy it. I had a coach tell me one time, if all five players on a team foul at the same time, how many fouls can they call? How many, Mark? One. They call one.
You're right.
Right? If all 5 guys foul. So I buy that theory, but you know, the benefits and the positives of playing that physical brand, to me, far outweigh the negatives. And so is West Virginia going to put a lot of guys to the free throw line? Sure, they will. But they're going to get a disproportionate amount of turnovers and positive plays and disruption of the rhythm of offense by how they play on that end of the floor.
The lead back to 13. Watkins out top. Carter looking inside. Williams making himself real big, deserving, demanding the ball. Finally gets a touch. Double teamed out to Carter. And another possession for the Mountaineers. Myers thought about it. Watkins with the high ball screen for Myers. That's going to be an offensive foul. Official Anthony Jordan says that's an offensive foul against Myers. And Huggins calling for more pressure.
Great position defense here by Devin Robinson, and that's the play we've seen. Offensive foul called on a couple Mountaineers here this afternoon. Florida's defense has been really good so far.
Inbound the ball, Robinson. Didn't look like he wanted to dribble. They made a smart move to get it to Allen. Ramirez out with the double team. Allen falling over the cliff. Almost turned it over. Robinson now. Good feed. Reverse layup is good. Boy, Casey Hill went airborne. And it's a 9-0 run for Florida. Williams traveled, a little anxious. That's the 11th turnover for the Mountaineers. Mountaineers down by 15 points. And this would be their largest deficit they've faced at halftime this year. Hill barely missing it. And that's the end of the first half of play. An upset brewing here in Gainesville. Huggins team down. Right now we're going to send it to the studio for the Chief halftime report.
All right, Mark, Jeep halftime report. Chris Cotter, LaFonso Ellis here in studio. Let's get you updated on that game going on over on ESPN2. Vandy and Texas. And Texas using defense bonds early. Kerwin Roach Jr. with the steal and the finish.
Well, their wings, point guard Isaiah Taylor, so quick when they can get out in transition and are excellent finishers.
And Vandy, this is sort of the continuation of something that's plagued them this year. Turning the ball over here. Isaiah Taylor in transition. Texas up 9. Then off another Vandy turnover leading the point.
Yeah, and Damian Jones can't do them by himself. At one point, he was 5 of 8 from the field. The rest of the team was 1 of 13. Need production from the perimeter.
You can see this is a big lead for Texas right now over on ESPN2. Both teams relatively disappointing, Fonz, when you think about it, Vandy and Texas. Both have won 4 out of 5 coming into this game, but they really need to turn it on here in the second half of conference play, don't they?
They do, and especially for Texas, that's a team that's playing without their inside big man, and Cam Ridley, who was absolutely fabulous to start the season at scoring a double-double early, and without him, they've had to become a completely perimeter-oriented team. And Shaka Smart has done exactly what you should do, is fire up that defense with smaller guys, try to get deflections, get turnovers, and get out in transition, and they've done that beautifully here in the first half against Vanderbilt.
They have, so turnover is a big story in that game over on ESPN2. It's a big story in our game as well, particularly at the end of that first half, that 9-0 run that Florida put together to be up 15 points. What's going on here with West Virginia?
Well, what's going on is most teams who play a unique style aren't used to having that style played against them, and Florida's come out and put strong, tough pressure on West Virginia, forcing West Virginia into 10 turnovers here in the first half. But their ability to be able to make plays, but be calm against the pressure, catch the basketball, make good reads. Well, look at how far that defense has shifted over to the left side of the floor. Now, if you can get ball reversal, you can get shots. And early, Florida's been knocking down the three-point shot, a team that averages 7 three-point field goals per game on the year, already at 6 in the first half. What beautiful ball movement, and you've got to attack the backside. Florida has been terrific in all phases of the game. They've really executed well against that pressure of West Virginia.
And I know you've said it too. You've heard Mark and Kara talk about Jonathan Holton being out of this game, the suspension for West Virginia. That's really costing them quickly, isn't it?
Absolutely. Jonathan Holton, a guy who puts a lot of pressure on the inbounder and making deflections. And once you throw it in, he comes from behind. But he's 6 double-doubles on the year so far, and a guy who can get you second chance shots. Without his presence in there, West Virginia is struggling on the offensive end.
Struggling in most cases, and it's a 15-point lead right now for Florida down at the O'Connell Center. When we come back, it's the Ben and Buddy Show down on the Bayou tonight on ESPN. We'll preview LSU and Oklahoma next.
This halftime report is presented by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Be ready for anything winter throws at you.
And welcome back, everyone. You're watching the Big 12 SEC Challenge presented by Sonic from the O'Connell Center here in Gainesville, Florida. 45-30, the number 9 Mountaineers facing a 15-point deficit at the break. Mark Jones chopping it up courtside along with Kara Lawson. Big surprise in Kara. Bob Huggins has faced this kind of adversity before. And when it comes to him being able to press the right buttons in coaching, it's the revolving roles of his coaching staff that helps dig his team out from here, if it's going to happen.
I'm sure there was some paint peeling off the walls there at halftime here in Gainesville in the West Virginia locker room. And when you look at kind of the dichotomy that exists in the coaching staff, and you look at Larry Harrison, the associate head coach, and Bob Huggins, we know, he brings the fire, and he gets into guys' faces. And then you see Larry Harrison kind of instructing. We've got kind of the bad cop, good cop going on. But we saw Bob Huggins kind of getting after it, and then we're going to see kind of switching of roles between both guys. And then what does Bob Huggins come back with? He comes back with the fire and brimstone again, getting after guys. We saw a lot of subbing. We saw a lot of things going in and out of the first half. Not happy with his team's performance or their physicality.
Williams got blocked by Finney Smith. That bench is extremely vociferous. And the one thing about Huggins, as we look at the numbers on the season defensively, when you look at his bench, Bob Huggins, through the years, Cincinnati, Kansas State, now West Virginia, he'll allow his players to yell back at times. That seems to be the way they just communicate. To others from the outside, it may seem dysfunctional, but it is functionally dysfunctional. It's like a lot of families. If you ain't yelling, you ain't communicating. Finney Smith for 3. They've been tearing the nets up. If you're just joining us, remember Jonathan Holton of the Mountaineers unable to play today, suspended indefinitely for violation of unspecified team rules. He's one of the key players for the Mountaineers, offensively and defensively, right, Kara?
He is. He's their most disruptive defender at the point of their pressure. Player that double teams and is able to get a ton of deflections. And then offensive rebounding. When the bottom kind of falls out of what West Virginia does on the offensive end of the floor, Holton gives them extra possessions. So they certainly miss him. But I don't know if Holton is making up an 18-point deficit. With as good as Florida's played today, I don't know if Holton makes that much of a difference.
A great point. The drive, the foul before the shot. As Issa Ahmad drove to the bucket. 6'8" freshman out of Shaker Heights. Devin Robinson going to come into the ball game. That's the 3rd foul on Finney Smith. So a quick hook by Mike White for his leading scorer and rebounder as he picks up his 3rd less than a minute into the second half.
You can afford to have the quick hook because you're up 18 points.
Williams got blocked again by Robinson. Williams struggling with length today, Kara, right? Underneath, it seems that way anyway.
Well, certainly Egbunu can look him eye to eye and the physical presence, but that was a help defender, Devin Robinson, that just came over from behind and swatted it. So nice activity, and Florida's gotten good contributions, maybe not from a production standpoint, but certainly from an energy and defensive standpoint by their bench post players.
Reverse layup no good by Miles Jr., but he was fouled on the play. Anthony Jordan, the official, making the call.
You know, one of the things that Mike White was concerned about was the physical presence of West Virginia. Talking to him yesterday after practice, he said, you know, I don't know if we're tough enough to go up against a team like this. We're going to have to play with tremendous physicality. And, of course, they're missing their starting power forward in Justin Leon, who's played terrific. I mean, has been averaged almost double figures since he's been inserted into the starting lineup. And he said he's our toughest guy, and we don't have him for this game either. They've responded. I mean, I have not seen Florida play with this amount of competitiveness and toughness all season long.
Yeah, arguably their best first half of the year.
Absolutely.
As Casey Hill will sit down. That was his third personal foul. Yeah, Justin Leon going through concussion protocol. Unable to play this afternoon for the Gators. They lead by 16. Looking for their 14th win of the season against just 7 losses. Here's that press. And he's got a turnover. Chiozza gets it over the midcourt line. The deflection and the turnover. So they get something out of their press for one of the few times this afternoon. Chiozza trapped. He caught it real deep. Great hustle that time by Issa Ahmad. Boy, they have dialed it up a little bit defensively, haven't they?
Well, it's when they score. I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but when West Virginia scores, they wreak more havoc. And when they're playing off the misses, they can't get it set up.
Chiozza, nice dime inside. Ekunu punches it home. Well, they broke the press, and they made the Mountaineers pay at the other end. Long jumper, a little bit strong by Miles. This on the foul underneath. That's going to go against Florida as Tariq Phillip gets set to check into the game for West Virginia. That's going to be the third foul on Egbunu. So Egbunu, Finney Smith, and Casey Hill all with 3 fouls for Florida. And there's a long way to go in this game, folks. Egbunu is looking at the officials saying, how could you call that on me? That's one of 10 games today between the Big 12 and SEC and the Big 12 SEC Challenge presented by Sonic. Phillip with a nice show and go. That's going to be an offensive foul. Against Williams. That's his second. Second team foul against the Mountaineers. 6 fouls in 2 minutes. Kara, I've got that 5 o'clock flight.
You're doing a West Virginia game, man. You know you should have booked the 7 o'clock. What are you talking about?
You think you can hook me up? You got status. Give me some standby. Kayvon Allen misfiring on the 3. One of the few misses today from downtown by the Gators. They're 7 of 12 now from downtown. And boy, what a story Kayvon Allen has been this year for Florida. 6'2" freshman out of Little Rock, Arkansas. Been one of their top players offensively. Real precocious freshman. Chiozza guarding the ball. Carter with the blow-by. Looked like he got tripped and fouled, but no call. It'll be Gator basket. Well, it's going to stay West Virginia ball. It's Hayes shaken up, being tended to by the athletic training staff.
Yeah, that should have been a foul. He was tripped there by.
Yep. Francis Ramirez appeared to get him with his foot. Javarius Hayes, the 6'9" freshman out of Florida, with some valuable minutes with Egbunu on the bench with 3 fouls.
John Egbunu, we talked about him being a physical presence, and he has been that from the beginning. I mean, tremendous here. This putback, offensive rebound there on the in the first half was terrific. And credit Florida's guards, because a lot of what Egunu does is not necessarily one-on-one in the post. I'm going to shake and bake you down there on the block. It's dunks, it's putbacks, it's offensive rebounds. And he's done a great job here so far this afternoon.
Yeah, the transfer has been outstanding. Rim presence at both ends of the floor. Hayes still being tended to by the athletic training staff. But the story of the game so far has been the Gators' ability to handle that full court pressure by the Mountaineers, who lead the nation in forcing turnovers and steals. Folks, we got a Titanic hoops trifecta for you tonight. 5 o'clock. Number 1 Oklahoma, Buddy Hield, Ben Simmons, LSU. And at 7, it's number 20 Kentucky against number 4 Kansas. And finally 8:30 on ABC. NBA. Kawhi Leonard, the reigning defensive player of the year. San Antonio Spurs, who got demolished against Golden State earlier, taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. And one more look at the statistics by the respective players. Simmons, boy, look at that. That's an impressive double-double he's averaging on the season, not to mention the 5 assists. We've seen him a couple times, and this would be, goes without saying, their biggest win of the season if they were able to topple Oklahoma today.
No question. And we talked off the top, there are a few SEC teams that can get really signature wins for their resume. Florida being one of them here against West Virginia. Certainly LSU against Oklahoma.
How different have they been, do you think, with Craig Victor and also with Hornsby back?
Yeah. Well, certainly Victor, to me, has made the most difference just because they were thin up front and really struggled before the mid-year transfer became eligible from Arizona on the front line. And he's kind of helped Ben Simmons in the rebounding area. So I think with Craig Victor and Hornsby in the lineup that they've been an NCAA tournament team. But certainly this would be a win that would put them over the top.
I want you to think about it for a minute. I'm going to ask you who you're taking a little bit later. Robinson inside with the finger roll. 7 points for Robinson. Florida this year, you see it, 0-4 against ranked teams. Working from the elbow, a foul as Issa Ahmad drove to the bucket. That's a 15 foul against the Gators. That one going against Allen, his first.
Who is going to score for West Virginia? You know, that's the issue. Who is going to score? And certainly with Page and Phillip limited in the better part of this game with foul trouble, can they score enough points to get?
And there's Phillip. I'll tell you this, anytime you have a guard from Brooklyn, New York City on the court with the ability to get his own, you got a fighter's chance. Francis Ramirez in the front court, once again easily diffusing that full court pressure. Shows a little bit of a mismatch against Adrian. Nice drive and kick. Got it. Francis Ramirez with 6. Williams took it right at Rimmer and got fouled on the putback. 3-point shooting, a big part of the success story for the Gators today.
Well, one of the things that West Virginia typically is very good at defending the three-point line. Only give up 4.5 made threes a game. They've given up 8 already. We still got 16 minutes left in this one. Now you can say, well, Florida's not a team that normally shoots it well. Well, they're shooting it well today, and I think it's a combination of things. I don't think West Virginia has been as stout defensively as we normally see from them. Adrian
from outside makes the 3. And Adrian made 39 threes as a freshman a couple of years ago. He's got 5. Whistling a foul against the Mountaineers. Timeout on the floor. When we come back on the other side, we'll break it down numerically speaking. The numbers not looking good for Coach Hug right now. Welcome back, everyone, to Gainesville. Darius Nichols, former Mountaineer guard, current Florida assistant. By the numbers, NCAA record 141 games played without fouling out. And boy, 21 inches of snow last week. I don't know. I'm down in Miami. I didn't see much of that stuff on the ground, Kara, but you're in the Northeast. You got a lot of it, right?
We didn't get too much in the Northeast, actually. The Mid-Atlantic, West Virginia, Charlottesville, D.C. area got slammed last week. Couple feet of snow.
What about the Duquesne team stuck on the bus for all that time? That was,
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, that. And you know, the thing that's we talked about this before the game started. The fan support of West Virginia in the midst of the snowstorm still coming to the games, and of course there's a smattering of West Virginia fans here, yellow throughout the arena.
Yeah, they traveled pretty well.
Yep.
Allen with 13 in the ball game now, but Bob Huggins with a very inauspicious beginning here against his first game ever against a Florida team. Tariq Phillip from downtown. Robinson clears. Quick outlet to Allen. Determined. Rimmer didn't have enough lift. Ahmad went down hard and will go to the free throw line. Foul's going to go against Skylar Rimmer, the Stanford University transfer. And hey, speaking of Stanford, if you haven't already heard, our very own ESPN's producer, Kim Belton, going to be inducted into the Pac-12 Hall of Fame in Las Vegas this March. Kim, former player at Stanford University. It's a different era. A lot of young folks don't remember that far back, you know.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
Ahmad makes the second. But still an uphill climb. The lead at 17. The press break by Francis Ramirez. And that's going to be an offensive foul. Nathan Adrian stood in there to take the hit. That's going to be the 8th team foul against Florida. Mountaineers with just 3.
You know, have to be careful here if you're Florida, because that's an easy way to come back in this game if you're West Virginia, is just get the clock stopped and get to the free throw line. Certainly a ton of time left, but you don't want to get in a double bonus too early if you're the Gators.
Macon out top. Phillip, great dime inside to Adrian for the layup off glass. Good patience that time at the offensive end for West Virginia. But Kara, the Mountaineers strike me as a team that it's almost like a wishbone team in football. If you fall too far behind, it becomes problematic. Yes or no, maybe?
Well, I just think they've had moments of traction here this afternoon, and they haven't been able to turn those into stretches. They haven't been able to turn those into sustained runs. I think they had a 12-0 run there in the first half, but that's been the problem, is Florida has continually been able to score against their 60 points. Florida has almost 60 points with 14 minutes left. This is the best defense in the country in West Virginia, and they've been cutting it up.
Chioza with a nice cut to get open. 5 on the shot clock. Triple teamed. They turn them over. They could use some heroics from Phillip. He did it last week against Texas Tech with 8 points in the last minute, and Kayvon Allen took one right in the grill. When you play against the Mountaineers, you got to wear your mouthpiece. Got to wear your mouth guard. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just going to be very physical.
And Phillip with the shot fake. Yeah, again, to me, that's unintentional. He was just going up for the shot. He gives a pump fake, and he goes up and tries to score. Very similar to what we saw in the first half with Dexter Miles.
Well, Mike White going to have him sit down a little bit, and White working under the daunting shadow of those banners that hang here at the O'Connell Center. Banners that Billy Donovan, championship ones, was responsible for in back-to-back years. Mike White, the reigning Conference USA head coach of the year. And in his first year on the sidelines here at Florida, formerly, of course, of Louisiana Tech, where he had a great run, and former Ole Miss assistant, where he worked for Huggins' former assistant, Andy Kennedy. So a little bit of cross-pollination there, some ties involved.
And, you know, he kind of sees themselves patterning their style a little bit after what they do at West Virginia. Remember, at Louisiana Tech, Mike White, he pressed every possession for 4 years. Okay, they pressed all of the time. He doesn't quite have his entire culture instilled right now, so they're not pressing as much as they did against when he was at Louisiana Tech. But he does look at West Virginia and say, yeah, we want to impact and affect offenses like they do, and that's what we want to do at Florida.
Yeah, Bob Huggins, has been a different day for him, and amongst other changes, how often do you see this sight? Bob Huggins sharing a laugh with an official? Wonder if that's gallows humor or not. Or maybe it's just a kinder, gentler head coach Bob Huggins. Temporarily, anyway. Longtime assistant Larry Harrison beside him. Looks like Hayes is going to be okay, getting set to come back into the ball game for the Gators. You know, they need to get something going offensively, West Virginia. And I know that Huggins' staff actually visited with the New Orleans Pelicans staff this offseason when the Pelicans were training in the West Virginia area. So if you're going to get some offensive philosophies, no better than to get it from a guy like Alvin Gentry of the Pelicans when they all visited this summer. You're going to get a decision from Anthony Jordan, one of our officials, and clarify what happened just a moment ago as Tariq Phillip gets ready to come to the free throw line. Anthony Jordan explaining to Kara Lawson exactly what just transpired.
Just the regular foul. What's what we talked about. No flagrant. Nothing. We said that 5 minutes ago. we were on that, right? We had that about 5 minutes ago. Yeah, they could have reviewed over here if they wanted to. Yeah, we knew that, man. Yeah. So just confirming what we already knew. No flagrant.
Phillips at the free throw line makes the first. He's a 72% free throw shooter. 6 points in the ball game. Referred to last week. In the final 58 seconds against Texas Tech, he was a flurry of activity and productivity, scoring 8 points late in that game as they pulled out a win against Tubby Smith on the road.
What a play he made late, where he stripped the Texas Tech player. They were down 1, West Virginia, took it to the other end and got the and one. And you're right, Mark, completely changed the tide of that game. It's not an easy place to go in and win. Tubby Smith has done a good job down there and love it.
Battle between the two conferences, the Big 12 and the SEC. 10 games in all. 6 wins clinch for either of the conferences. Right here, the SEC with a slight edge that continues to grow. Francis Ramirez. Ahmad got ripped by Chiozza out of bounds. It'll stay West Virginia basketball. It's been that type of day. You know, Francis Ramirez hit that 3 a moment ago. Here's a guy shooting 11% from downtown on the season, but in a good rhythm like the rest of the Florida team offensively today.
There was a funny exchange between Ahmad and Phillip. Ahmad wanted Phillip to tell him that the man was doubling down Chiozza, and he said, "You can't hear me if I tell you. I'm yelling. It's too loud in here." That's some of the challenge of communicating on the road. That's why it's difficult.
Yeah, the O-Dome as loud as it's ever been, and a shot clock violation. Bob Huggins was trying to yell to Phillip to get into the offense, but as you pointed out, I'm not sure that Huggs was heard by his guard.
No, he shouldn't have to yell. Phillip should know that. Phillip should know in the side out of bounds how much time is left on the shot clock and get the guys in whatever they need to.
Francis Ramirez got packed that time by Macon. Carter in transition. They make the extra pass, and the jumper by Page rims out. Tipped up a couple of times. Gioza out of the pack. Gioza got it. Seven points for Gioza. Former Mr. Tennessee, Mr. Basketball in the state of Tennessee. Carter was looking for the foul, won't get it. Biggest lead of the game for Florida.
You've seen the frustration. It's littered all over the faces of the West Virginia coaches and players. And you look at Harrison in his face. Yeah, it's been that kind of day for the Mountaineers.
Body language really telling the story there. Associate head coach Larry Harrison, longtime member of that staff. And Huggins at his previous stops as well. Back out top to Page. Page, their leading scorer, looking for a little rhythm. Can't get it there. And he commits the foul, too. That's going to be his fourth.
That's not a smart play if you're Page. Your effect has been so limited because of foul trouble. You have no chance to get a steal. I mean, why? Why foul there? Why? Your team's leading scorer, and clearly offense is what they need, and you effectively take yourself out of the game.
Loose ball, and West Virginia gets the turnover. Ahmad can't find it. A whistle and a foul underneath. I think there's been a whistle every, I don't know, let's get our analytics people on this one. There's been a whistle every, I'll guess, 42 seconds. We'll be back after this.
Chris Cotter and LaFonso Ellis in the studio. Vandy at Texas over on ESPN2, and Prince eBay here.
Oh!
On that rim.
Woo, what a faceful.
eBay rocking that rim, and man, this is a Texas lead right now, 9 points, about 3.5 minutes left to go there on ESPN2. You know what's coming up next. George Niang and Iowa State and Texas A&M in the Big 12 SEC Challenge. They'll tip in about 24 minutes time. Mark?
All right, A&M, the top dog in the SEC. Aerial coverage, folks. Brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. And of course, you're watching the Big 12 SEC Challenge presented by Sonic. I posed the question a moment ago, just rhetorically. I mean, I'm a booth. Whistle, 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 whistle. I guess there was a foul every, what did I say, 40 seconds, 42? We did the math on it. There's been a foul every 43 seconds here in the the second half. This game grinding to a halt. And Kara, you had a great point during the break about halves versus quarters and how that would be impacted with the fouls.
Well, you know, the women's game has gone to quarters here at the collegiate level, and one of the things that it helps do is speed up the game in the sense that if this were by quarters, there'd only be 1:49 left in the third quarter. So each team would be, or West Virginia would be shooting the bonus for the next 1:49 seconds, and they'd reset at the start of the quarter. So it is a way that if you do go to quarters, you can speed the game up a little bit. You're not in the bonus for 12 minutes.
Right.
Or you can say don't foul.
Yeah.
You know? Don't be a team that fouls, but.
Yeah. I truly believe the women's game is ahead of the men's in that sense. 4 10s as opposed to 2 20s. That's an argument for another day. And right now, 16-point lead for the Florida Gators. Putting together perhaps their most complete game of the season. Casey Hill out to Finney Smith. And another 3-ball for the Gators, their 10th of the game. Phillip with a quick counter. They can't afford to trade baskets. Hill on the drive. That's going to be a foul on the pass. Well, folks, we got a Titanic Hoops trifecta for you tonight at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. Heald, Simmons, Oklahoma, LSU. Kentucky, Kansas. And on the NBA front, San Antonio Spurs in Cleveland to take on the Cavaliers as LeBron and the Cavs with a new head coach, Tyronn Lue, calling the shots, getting that team in better shape and conditioning. The whistle and a foul going to go against the Mountaineers. It's against Watkins. As Finney-Smith will go to the line. That's the third foul on him. 16 foul. Finney-Smith, the former Virginia Tech transfer, putting together a nice stat line. 16 points, now 17. 3 rebounds as well. And Kara, what do you think? Pretty much out of the woods with the 3 fouls at this point of the game, right?
Well, you know, it helps that they're up 17, and so if he does pick up a 4th, they can take him out and give some minutes to other guys. I think their bench has played really well. Francis Ramirez and certainly Dorian Finney-Smith, and what he means to this team, his versatility, his scoring, his rebounding. He's got 4 double-doubles in the last 5 games. He's their best player, and he's been playing very, very well in conference.
Been a long time since the Gators defeated a top 10 team. Phillip, little show and go. Anthony Jordan says offensive foul. That's his 4th. A whistle and a foul. A popular refrain here in the second half. That's going to be the 3rd against Miles. And the Gators making the trek to the free throw line. That's the 18th foul. And Florida shooting 15 of 21 from the line. Remember, this kind of set the climate, set the scene, the environment for the day. Little standoff at midcourt in warm-up. Finney-Smith and Mountaineer players, including Williams, jawing at each other. And you saw clearly some players were smiling and kind of enjoying the moment. But looking through those prescription lens, it's been a tough day on what Williams has seen on the other side of it today.
I've just been totally impressed with what Florida's done. I mean, they have been the more physical team. They have been the tougher team. They have forced more turnovers. They have outpressed Virginia today, and to the tune of a 20-point lead.
Making out top. 3 is way long by Miles. And Casey Hill in transition. Hill, one of the fastest players in college basketball, folks. Mike White gonna call out an offensive set. Finney-Smith, little pick and pop with Chiozza. Hill with good hustle, but couldn't corral the loose ball. It'll be West Virginia basketball. Well, West Virginia presses more than any of the other team in college basketball, but Florida, no stranger. How much does it help you, Kara, when Mike White's team works against that in practice?
Well, not only do they work against it, like you talked about his history. His history at Louisiana Tech is as a team that is like Bob Huggins' team, that's pressing all of the time. So certainly you know where the weaknesses are and where you can attack it.
Yeah, during practice this week, they went 5 on 6 and 5 against 7 to try and overload a little bit and get used to the waves of people that would be coming at them. As Egbunu gets called for the foul underneath, Williams will go to the free throw strike. It's a 4th foul against Egbunu. Kara, what do you make of the scouting report on the Florida Gators and their bench, which has been so integral to their success so far? They lead by 20. This is a team without Justin Leon today.
Well, you know, I think when you look at their bench and what they've done today, you have to be pleased. Without having Leon, who's been a starter for them, who's played exceptionally well, Mike White White's had to go deep in his bench. He's had to play Hayes. He's had to play Rimmer extended minutes. He's had to do a ton of things. And while we mentioned Hayes, it's good to see him back out on the court. You know, remember, went down with what looked like some type of arm injury, and he's back in the game. So that's a great sign for the Florida Gators.
Hey, but give me the real scouting report now. I'm talking about the real scouting report.
Oh, you mean from
on the game
yesterday,
last
from
night.
the real game? Yeah, that's
who's
right.
got game
Yeah.
and who can't play? Who needs to be on the bench?
All right, we'll start with Mike White. All right, we'll start with the head coach. We'll start with Ed Honcho.
Because he played pickup against them.
He plays pickup. He runs the team well. He can score. He can knock down the three-point shot. He's got a nice little fadeaway when he gets into the lane.
Wow.
Conditioning must improve, Mark Jones. Conditioning must improve. He didn't hang us out to dry on defense, but there were times we were playing 4 on 5 on offense. He was sucking wind a little bit.
Oh,
A little bit, just a little bit.
who would have thought? Need a little more treadmill work then, I guess, for Coach White. Well, he's got his team running smoothly here today, though. Chioza tried to put a clip on the mixtape, didn't work out. Deshaun Page with the layup at the other end. 12 points off turnovers for the Mountaineers today. The lead still at a comfortable 16 for Florida. Egbunu, mismatch underneath, pardon me, against Page. That was Hayes, actually. Phillip on the drive. Left hand works. It just feels like we've gone about 43 seconds without a foul being called. What about that? Hill turns it over. In transition, Macon. Lost the handle.
That kind of afternoon for West Virginia, hasn't it been? You're trying so desperately to turn the tide of this game and make something happen, and you have an opportunity like that, and certainly it's a challenge for Macon there, the post player in the open court, to catch and make a play, but you can't let those opportunities get away when you're down 16 points.
And a total of 30 turnovers in this game so far. West Virginia was 17 of them. Allen inside. Hayes couldn't finish on the first one. Boy, tirelessly indefatigable inside is Kavarius Hayes. Fueled up, diesel style. More on that on the other side. You're watching the Big 12 SEC Challenge, presented by Sonic. Florida in control by 16. Here as all roads lead to Gainesville today. Busy intersection here, and a look at the tote board. Texas defeating Vanderbilt in a game that tipped off right about the same time we did today. Meanwhile, there was news in the area earlier today, actually earlier this week, as Florida police officer Bobby White responded to people in the neighborhood playing too loudly, playing basketball too loudly. So said, hey, I'm going to bring some buddies of mine back. So who did he come back with? None other than Shaquille O'Neal and his fellow officers playing a game of pickup ball in the street. Signed some autographs, took pictures with the kids. Shaq actually giving each of the kids $100 apiece for making a foul shot. But great community service by our law enforcement people here in the great state of Florida.
Did you say they were responding to a complaint of kids playing basketball too loudly?
Come on.
How are you supposed to play it quiet? I'm just saying.
That makes no sense to me. Whoever that neighbor was that phoned in,
yeah,
they got to leave.
That's right.
They got to leave. Got to let the kids shoot hoops. 18-point lead off the turnover. And another West Virginia foul. Yet basketball is not a game that is meant to be played quietly.
No.
If you're not hearing some noise from both sides, then something's wrong. That's going to be the fourth foul against Miles Jr.
Our rule in our neighborhood was as long as the sun was up, you could play.
man.
It was fair game. And I'd like to thank all my neighbors for not being like the neighbor down here in Gainesville, because I sure was playing basketball loudly for hours and hours when I was a kid.
Yep. Yeah, hey, it's not unusual to, if you don't have enough lighting in the street, have somebody turn the car lights on, you know, a little extra light. It gets dark at night.
Some people need to see the basket. Some people don't want
Oh, you got that radar. I see what you're trying to say.
some people don't need the lights on.
We got an official review. And Huggins going to take the opportunity along with Mike White to draw one up. Under 7.5 minutes to go here in the second half, as the SEC tries to even the score against the Big 12 in the Big 12 SEC Challenge presented by Sonic. Texas defeating Vanderbilt a little bit earlier. The Vanderbilt team kind of puzzling, so up and down. They're coming off a win against Florida several nights ago. Here's what they're looking at here. It looked like the defender had a hold of Kayvon Allen's shirt, his jersey, sending Allen to the free throw line. Mountaineers have 6 players with 3 or more fouls. There's a lot of clutching and grabbing going on out there today. Heat is at 19. After a slow start, the Gators shooting about 77% from the line now. Okay, who do you like tonight in that game between LSU and Oklahoma?
That's a tough one.
That's why I asked you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Oklahoma.
Okay. On the road, huh?
On the road.
Adrian knocks down the 3. See a couple of green room guys, and Ben Simmons as well as Buddy Hield. What about the battle of the blue blood programs, Kentucky and Kansas? That one in Lawrence.
At the risk of angering Big Blue Nation.
Oh, come on now. You can't let those people skew it.
I know. I am going to go with Kansas.
You're going to go with Kansas?
I am.
I kind of like the emergence of Kentucky's bigs over the last couple of games. Especially Willis. He's played well.
Yeah, he has. He has. We had him in Auburn, and that was kind of a turning point. That loss to Auburn. Their frontline players have definitely improved.
Jamal Murray, their leading scorer. That game coming up later tonight as Page knocks down a foul shot just inside a jumper just inside the three-point line. Pardon me, that was Carter. Page, pardon me. Oh, Dodo! Hit him with the rhythm. Deshaun Page hits nothing but net.
And is it just a little bit too late? And you look at Page and Phillip, and you can't deny that this offense for West Virginia is at its best when those two are on the court.
Yeah.
And they've never been able to get into a rhythm offensively.
Great passing here.
Well, a lot of times with pressure, you can go over it, and on that back line, a gap opens up. And you see the bench for Florida really enjoying. They've been active with a lot of energy, much like their play on the court. What a performance so far for Mike White and the Florida Gators, just handling West Virginia.
Before the commissioner calls their name,
with the first pick,
they're already on stage. The NBA draft's future are today's college hoops superstars. Green Room guys.
A bunch of guys we'll see late June at the NBA draft. Them and their families on that life-changing day. When they get inside the green room and hear their name called, you'll see a bunch of them on display today. See Ben Simmons a little bit later today for LSU, and several different comparisons being made to Simmons or him to other NBA players, different names. One guy, not necessarily the same guy exactly, but tendencies or could be like.
Yeah, I'll say this. He has that elite passing gene, and very few guys in NBA history have had that elite passing gene, especially from a forward position. So that's where you see the comparisons of Magic and of LeBron because of that. It's not that it's at his size how well he passes. Right. And so that's where the comparison to me is most closely aligned, is that elite passing gene with LeBron and Magic.
Great way to identify players that are going to be playing at the next level. Chiozza, Allen. Point Florida lead. They have led by double figures since almost the opening 3-4 minutes of this ball game. There's a moment where Mountaineers got to within 4. Not for long. Allen draws the foul underneath. That's the third on Williams as we look at the contrast in transition points. Wow.
Well, that was a point of emphasis for Florida leading into the game. And West Virginia has 18 turnovers. And one of the things that they have struggled with is turning the basketball over, particularly here recently. And when you do that, you allow teams to get out and transition on you. And that was a point of emphasis for Florida. They've been at their best this season on the offensive end when they've pushed it. Look at the athletes we've seen. Egbunu, Finney-Smith, Casey Hill, his end-to-end speed. Chiozza makes tremendous decisions. So their best offense is when they run into stuff. And by virtue of getting those turnovers, they've been able to do that for the lion's share of this game.
Skylar Rimmer checking into the ball game. Egbunu will take a seat. Gators have played scouting report, defense, and offense today. Phillip with nowhere to go. Williams finally gets one to drop in a rough afternoon for their leading scorer. Just 12 points now on 4 of 14.
I like this by Florida the last few possessions. I mean, you've certainly got the clock on your side, and run it down and shorten the game here.
Getting some help from the Rowdy Reptiles, the student fan section with the shot clock. Finney-Smith left it short. And Page with a rebound in the push. Williams put it on the deck in traffic. Made a nice move, but couldn't finish. Finney-Smith couldn't convert. Page in a rush. And he misses the finger roll. Another empty trip for the Mountaineers. You know, Kara, we talk about green room guys, quote unquote, but there are a lot of other talented players in the college basketball landscape right now that we're, of course, celebrating during this Big 12 SEC challenge. Just because you don't end up in New York in the green room doesn't mean that you won't have a great professional career either in the NBA or overseas.
Absolutely.
Any one of these guys out here. Phillip pulling up. He knocks down a long three. Gives the Rowdy Reptiles a look into the crowd.
There are many different routes to become a professional basketball player, and they don't all start through the green room. And of course, with the D-League increasing in terms of the number of teams, and as another pathway to try and get to the NBA, and there are lucrative contracts to be had overseas as well.
Oh yeah.
A lot of these former Gators playing overseas. Scotty Wilderkin, Kenny Boynton, Eric Murphy, a lot of guys that wore the Gator uniform that are having successful stints overseas.
Well, Scotty Wilderkin had a great year in Australia. It's all about the guys and the Gators getting it done now. Whooping up on West Virginia. Back after this.
Is brought to you by Sonic. 2 can eat for $9.99 at Sonic all month long.
Chris Cotter back in Bristol. Let's step away from the Big 12 SEC Challenge for a moment. Over to the ACC, Virginia and Louisville. Malcolm Brogdon has 8 points in the first half. It's all Cavs right now at the KFC Yum Center. Meanwhile, speaking of the Big 12 SEC, Big 12 takes the early lead with Texas's win over Vanderbilt. And just underway over on ESPN3, that Watch ESPN app, we've got Iowa State and Texas A&M from Reed Arena in College Station. As soon as we finish things up at the O'Connell Center, we'll send you here live. But until then, back to Mark and Kara, guys.
I really love Caruso's game. Meanwhile, great triple dip for you tonight. 5 o'clock. Oklahoma, LSU, Hield, Simmons. Kentucky, Kansas. Followed by the Spurs and the Cavs at 8:30 Eastern time over on ABC. Great basketball for you. All available on Watch ESPN and the app as well. Adrian from the free throw line missing. As we approach 2 minutes to go. Gators have been in control pretty much from the opening tip. And shooting a season-high 61% from downtown. Big 12 leading on the tote board so far. 1-0 as Texas defeated Vanderbilt. 9 on the shot clock for Casey Hill out top. And you can hear the SEC chant starting from the fans here. Finney Smith couldn't get in on the other half of the alley-oop. Phillip.
When we talked big picture to start this game, we talked about the need for Florida to have a signature win on their resume. And I think there's a signature for a couple reasons. One, because of who you're playing. One of the top 10 teams in the country, the best defensive team in the country. But also how they won this, Mark. I mean, they completely dominated West Virginia. This will be Florida's best win of the season.
And that punctuates it, Kara. Finney Smith underscoring their three-point shooting success today. He's 5 of 7 from downtown. I'm not sure many people saw this one coming. This emphatically foul against Adrian. This will be Florida's first win against a ranked team this year. Previously, they were 0-4 against ranked teams. One more look at the guy they affectionately call Dodo here.
Three-point shooting. I mean, this has been above what we're used to seeing from Florida on the offensive end. But you start feeling good about yourself, and a couple guys hit shots, and at times it can be infectious. I mean, that's what it was this afternoon. Now your challenge is this, and you know that's what Mike White is thinking, because coaches are always thinking about what's next. How do you get this type of effort, play with this type of energy and toughness and competitiveness, and translated that to the SEC? Because if Florida had played like this all season long, their record would be a lot different than it is.
It'd be better than 14-7, which it'll be after this. And simply it was a case of, as Page knocks down the jumper, I think it was just a case of Mike White being inspired by that pickup game last night. How you ran him up and down the court. Shot Jays all over him last night.
I don't know about that. We might be embellishing my performance there just a little bit. Did come out with the W though.
About a 6-second difference between the shot and game clock. Florida has led from the opening tip. Page going to punch one home a little bit too little too late though, as the Gators will improve to 14-7 and 10-1 at home this year. 88-71 the final score. Coming up next, Iowa State taking on Texas A&M. Don't let your mouth write a check your body can't cash, folks. Thanks for watching. Let's go to College Station, Texas.